Hey, my friends, Andy, coming to you from Yorba Linda, California for the Andy Falco Show. And wow, it's been quite the last few weeks. Been diving into the Fauci nonsense. And what we always knew about him is that he was a lying piece of human stuff that we knew he was lying then. We knew all this stuff was made up. It just takes me back to the school board meetings where the nitwits were wearing their masks and shutting down schools, and just tons of parents going there, standing room only. Carrie Buck shutting down a school board meeting because somebody wasn't wearing their mask properly. That they actually thought that these partitions they put between the desk was actually going to stop anything. My kids getting kicked out of school because they weren't wearing their mask properly, and just saying no to the stupidity. And then the vaccines and the madness that people were getting fired. Teachers, doctors, nurses, firemen, policemen, men and women in the military were getting fired because they refused to get the vaccine. And now we find out that we were all right. I remember sending tons of emails to Carrie Buck, to El Sasser, Matthews, whoever was in power at the time. I can't remember all the people now. Showing them the actual studies, the science that actually said that masks don't work, that none of these stupid things that they were telling us that we had to do were doing anything, and that the children weren't dying from COVID. And it was so much of this was so unnecessary. But yet, in spite of the many, many studies, the videos of Fauci saying himself that masks wouldn't stop the virus. In spite of all that, Carrie Buck still ran the school like a dictator from her perch as the president of the school board at the time, and yet continued on with their nonsense. So it's been really interesting going through and reading all the stuff that we all knew, so many people knew. And in spite of all that, they chose to harm our children. And they continue to do that to this day. So I titled this perfectly, I believe, and that is The Failures of PYLUSD, and namely Carrie and Marilyn, Kim, Trisha, Candace, and Mary Ellen in particular, because they're all products of the organization, the cabal of the teachers' unions, the AFT, the NEA, the CTA, the APLE, and all the others that are in California, the LAUSD. All these teachers' unions are a political group. Now, when you see posts like Carrie Buck's in regard to her campaign, when she wants to take the politics out of the school district, which again means that all they want is their politics into the school board, and parents who simply want education don't matter. That when we bring up that we want our kids educated, that somehow we're talking about politics, that we don't want indoctrination involved in the curriculum, involved in the daily practices of the teacher when they're teaching classes, that somehow they're going to wedge in math some LGBTQ teaching moment, that they're going to pull this nonsense on a daily basis and not educate. The fact that we bring that up and say that's not what we want. We want our kids to learn how to read, write, count, and think. They claim is politics. No, all of the stuff that you are fighting for, these 6 women, as an arm of these teachers union, is all about politics. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly why this is true and show you the facts. Again, I say us, there's, myself and all the people that are now essential whistleblowers that are in the district, and people that have either worked or are friends or know these women individually, all the people coming to me with giving me information. I'm just going to include them as we, because I couldn't do this without the help of all these people. But in addition to my research and investigations, I'm going to point out how the teachers unions using these 6 women in our school district are failing our students and failing families and parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles in our community by pushing this PYL promise, which is, again, essentially the Wallace Foundation and the Swift Education Center, their curriculum or their indoctrination system that they want to introduce or put into our school in a way that they're trying to give it this name, PYL Promise, as if it's something that they created, which they didn't. They simply cut and paste. I did a whole show on showing you how I was able to identify that what they are using for PYL Promise is the curriculum and programs that are pushed by these two organizations. So I just want to take you back just a little bit to the era of COVID and remind you of one of the things. I got to go to my screen here. Well, I have to go to it. I'm not going to share it with you because there's just so much that's on the screen. I don't want to cause you any grief. But I just want to take you back to just one issue, one of hundreds of issues that the Teachers Union, California Teachers Association, again, you're going to have LAUSD, APLE. These are all smaller organizations within CTA. The CTA runs all these smaller teachers unions. So it can, whether it's APLE or LAUSD or what other union you want to put in there, for each district, it is the CTA. It's all the same. The NEA and the CTA are partners. They are, again, essentially the same cabal. So I just want to read you this one thing just as a reminder of how the unions worked back, especially in COVID, that this is never about education. It has never been. These teachers unions don't care about teachers. They don't care about education. It is about power and being a political PAC for the Democratic Party. So just taking you back to July 2020 in an article in Just the News, it says, LA Teachers Union says schools can't reopen unless charter schools get shut down. That means all charter schools in the state of California. The police are defunded. That is in quotes. Reports on UTLA's policy paper calling for campuses to stay closed at the start of the semester and listing conditions that included defunding police departments, a charter school moratorium, Medicare for all, and a wealth tax, amongst other measures. So again, when you hear people like Carrie Buck in her campaign saying that she wants to take the politics out of PYLUSD, that is not what she's interested in. She just wants people to stop interfering with their politics, is what she's really saying. So now I just want to, again, go to a video that I've showed before, but I'm going to show it again. Now this video is going to show the student school board member that's on there. It's just so happens that Carrie Buck is talking, and then the camera doesn't shift over to an image of her, but a couple seconds later. But this is what the PYL Promise and why Carrie Buck loves it. And this goes along with what I just shared with you back in 2020. And remember, this is not about education when it comes to these teachers unions. And Carrie Buck is a part of the teachers union. She got elected through money that was forced down the community's throat in the form of signs and these letters that they sent around the community and the lies that they put together in their trifolds and their flyers that they sent out, because the teachers union needs Carrie Buck in there because she's going to push all of their measures in there and not educate the kids. So this is what Carrie Buck said on June 2nd, I believe, at the June 2nd school board meeting, and why she loves the PYL Promise program.
That was great. My favorite part are the three key priorities: rooted in connection, ready for tomorrow, and stronger together. None of those things on the surface say education. It really is about the whole child and supporting them and their growth.
So it goes on a little bit about what, the program. But you heard her say it. She said what she loves about it is that it says nothing about education and it's about the whole child. Remember when I told you in another video that the whole child means that they want control of our whole children. Every one of you that have children in the PYLUSD, they want control of the whole child. That doesn't mean educating them. It means having control over them. Their spiritual growth in the form of socialism and indoctrination and all these other ideologies that they want to push, that they want medical choices, and if they feel that they need some type of transition, they want to be able to control that. So that's the total control of the child, the whole child. That's what the whole child means. And she's happy that the PYL promise says nothing about education and addresses nothing about education. That's what she loves about it. And that's what she said on June 2nd, just a couple months ago, at the school board meeting. Remember that she's president of the school board at PYLUSD. Now, one more reminder of what she just said just the other day at the most recent school board meeting. And again, remember, she says she wants to take politics out, and we'll go to my screen. And you'll see there on the left, this is a post from the California Teachers Association that says they want yes on 3, which is the wealth tax, essentially, is they want to tax the most wealthy in our state. And Carrie Buck sees this because this, I believe this posted on the same day as the school board meeting. It might have been the day before. And so it's like the bat signal that now this is what school boards and anybody else that has influence in regard to schools needs to start pushing. We need to get Prop 3 passed. We need to get a yes on 3. So what does she do in the school board meeting? She does this.
Event as well. Prop 3 is coming up. It has made its way to the ballot. So Dr. Papalardo, I did a little search, and when I looked at if Prop 3 doesn't pass, what will that implication mean to our district? And it looks like it's around $4.6 million. So I'm just flagging that for you. Would you mind doing a little research and bringing some more information back to us at the next meeting to see where we are with it and what that possibly could mean? I just want.
So again, do you see what she's doing there? She's saying that this has implications if it doesn't pass. So again, putting it out there in the school board, getting the people that are there to believe that this is something that must pass, because of course we need more money wasted on their indoctrination programs that they're pushing into the school. They need more money. What happens when the teachers union gets more money through some of these laws that they push through, these ballot measures that they push through, is that they push Democrat policy and give it to people that are running for campaigns, not just school boards, but city council members to state representatives. And that is what they do with this money. It's not going to kids. So how do I know this? Now, I'm going to go to a couple articles here that I found using AI. And let's just see. I'm going to share with you a couple locations across the United States and how much they spend on students. So New York spends approximately $31,918. That's $32,000 per student. New York City, I believe, spends something like, what is it? It's $37,000 per student. So New York City spends $37,000 per student. I'll share with you what the national average is. I think it's something like 17,000. So it spends well over twice as much than the national average, and that's New York City. We're going to go to California, and California spends approximately, where's the number here? 25,000. Large city districts were higher. Los Angeles Unified is $25,631 per student. Again, the national average is $17,000. So in Los Angeles, they're spending $25,000. I think the average in California is somewhere around $20,000. Baltimore, I'm just going to share with you because it's another high one. There's somewhere around $25,000 per student. Again, the national average is $17,000. So going back to my screen here, I'm just going to show you. So what is the outcome of all this money that they're spending per student in these cities? These are the highest in the country, by the way. Some of the highest. I think they're in the top 10 highest money spent on students.
As well.
Oops, there we go. And so just starting with one thing with California, I'm going to give you more information on California in a second. But while charter schools, this is from the Orange County Register just a couple days ago, while charter school enrollment in 25-26 school year across California has increased, why? Because they're not getting educated, by nearly 27% compared to the 2015-16 school year, the total number of students enrolled in non-charter public schools has decreased by more than 11%. So parents are pulling their kids out of schools because they're not getting a return on their money, return on investment, ROI. Sorry, I must have went to a public school, so there's no return on investment, and so parents are pulling their schools out, their children out of the schools. Wow, I need another cup of coffee. And so, okay, that's just one aspect of California. Again, I'm going to come back to California in one second. But let's look what's happening in Chicago, which I didn't share. They're spending a lot too. Chicago public schools blow millions on travel expenses while students can't read at grade level. High school students exposes classmates abysmal reading skills as they struggle with words like silhouette and extraordinary. New York. Staggering 900 New York City public schools failing students amid grade inflation, lacks accountability. New York City public schools are the nation's least efficient. Education spending continues to rise despite lackluster student performance and declining enrollments. 23 Baltimore schools with 0 students proficient in math in Maryland. Yet Maryland ranks top 2 in new study. The Maryland State Department of Education 2022 state test results report Baltimore City's math scores were the lowest in Maryland, just 7% of 3rd through 8th graders testing proficient in math, meaning 93% could not do math at grade level. And down there in the yellow, it says in 23 Baltimore City schools, there were 0 students who tested proficient in math, not a single student. Baltimore, MCAP scores improve, but just 13.3% of students are proficient in math. U.S. students performing worse in school than 10 years ago, report says. A new report released Wednesday suggests students in U.S. schools are performing worse than their peers a decade ago, and it isn't entirely due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's go to California now, and this is the most recent PPIC, California's K through 12 test scores. 2025 results showed 49%, that's under 50% of students meeting or exceeding standards in English language arts, and 37% in math. Only 37% are proficient in math. These are slight improvements, wow, since the first full post-pandemic testing in 2022, but still below 2019 levels. 2024 NAEP proficiency was low. In other words, 29% of 4th graders and only 28% of 8th graders proficient in reading, 35% and 35% and 25% in math, below the national average. Below, yet we spend more money on each student with stalled recovery and a widening gap between highest and lowest performing students. Long-lasting achievement gaps by race, income, and English learner status persist. The Los Angeles Times reports, this is in a recent article, May 2026, reading scores declining, long-term data in education scorecards show. So they ranked 29th in growth among states with data. Math ranked better. Students remained about a third of a grade level behind 2019 pre-pandemic reading levels nationally and in California. And one last thing here. Why can't our kids read? Shame on Teachers Union and Albany, as less than half of elementary kids pass English tests, and that's in New York, of course. So coming back to my screen. So I just want to point out, so Carrie Buck is there at a school board meeting. She's gets the bat signal from the Teachers Union. Hey, we need to push a yes on Proposition 3, and we need to say that it has to do that we need more money, that we may need to lose money. I'm showing you that more money does nothing for us. More money does nothing for the education of our kids. It's the programs that they are pushing on our kids that is causing this decline. It is the lack of a curriculum that teaches kids how to read, write, count, and think. That is the problem. And I want to show you just one more thing of proof here. And that is something, if you've not heard about it yet, it's called the Mississippi Miracle. And I'm going to bring this over to my screen over here on this side, and I'm just going to share my screen to show you that this is actually coming from AI. And just first, what I want to show you, go to my screen, it says Mississippi spent only $12,324 per student. $12,000. That is well below the national average of $17,619. So it's well below the U.S. average. All right, so they're spending a lot less on students. Again, I'm just showing you that the amount of money per student isn't what is causing the problem. It is the teachers' unions, it is the indoctrination, it's the Wallace Foundation, it's the Swift Education Center, it is the PYL Buzz plan for the next 5 years that is destroying education in our school district here at PYLUSD and districts across the state of California. And with this lowest amount, this $12,000 that is being spent, a lot less than the national average, we have something what they're calling the Mississippi Miracle. And I'm going to share my screen again and show you what the Mississippi Miracle is. And that refers to the dramatic improvement in Mississippi's K-12 public school student performance, especially early literacy, since around 2013. The state rose from near the bottom of national rankings on the National Assessment of Educational Progress to competitive or top-tier results in fourth grade reading and math, even as many other states stagnated or declined, and despite Mississippi having among the lowest per pupil spending and highest child poverty rates in the U.S. And I'm going to go down here, is that in 2013, Mississippi ranked 49th nationally. By 2024, it ranked around 9th or tied for 7th in some reports in fourth grade reading, with the largest score gains of any state since 2013. Fourth grade math also improved substantially to roughly 16th. Mississippi is one of the few states to show gains while national scores often fell. When scores are adjusted for student demographics, poverty, race, etc., by analysis such as those from Urban Institute, the Urban Institute, Mississippi ranks number one nationally in both fourth grade reading and in math. Here's really something that's really important, because they scream racism when it comes to you have to expect kids to learn how to read, write, and count. And they tell us here in California that that's racist to make them learn how to read, write, and count. But the subgroup here says performance is strong in Mississippi. Black students rank near the top nationally among Black students, Hispanic students leading or ranking near the top of their peers. For low-income students, outperform those of other states. Gains occurred across the achievement distribution, including for lower performing students. All right, so math drivers for the improvement. The emphasis was on science of reading, hiring and deploying literacy coaches to support teachers, especially in lower performing schools. That's what Dr. Chernis was doing. Universal early screening for reading difficulties, teacher training such as LTRS, and ending social promotion. Students who do not meet reading proficiency standards by the end of third grade are generally retained with limited exceptions and given intensive support. One other thing I want to put here, the science of reading. And just one thing you really need to know about it is down here, the 5 pillars of reading instruction: phonic awareness, phonics, which I've been pushing for a very long time, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. So go figure. You bring back phonics, you test the kids, find out where they're at, and you get the kids that need help, specific help to help them catch up to the other kids, and you lift them up through requirements, through testing, and pushing them in these areas of reading and math and the other areas, science and U.S. history, and you have expectations, and you push these students. You have requirements that they have to pass. You have testing that tells you where these kids are, and then you adjust according to what that student particularly needs. This isn't crazy. And it doesn't take millions of dollars to do this. As I've been able to show you, is that the areas where we spend the most money in our country, New York, Baltimore, Chicago, Los Angeles, California overall, is that they spend the most money and have the worst outcomes. It's because of what they're being taught and this nonsense of indoctrination, of politicizing our schools, of which Carrie Buck does, and Carrie Anderson and Quintero are doing. And now what they've done in bringing in these superintendents, and they're their thinking partners is what they have put together through this PYL Promise is an indoctrination program. It's not an education program. Carrie Buck told you herself that there's nothing about education in it. This is what they're spending our money on. This is what they need more money for, and it's not for education, and it doesn't work. And they're failing. They're failures. All of them, all 6 of them are failures in helping this school district thrive in regard to education. And you need to be aware of it. All right, my friends, that's it. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Talk to you later. Bye.